Hey guys, it's Laurie from Cook Scrap Craft. Welcome back to the channel. I've got another book video for you. Today I'm going to talk about the authors who I think I would like, as in we might be able to be friends in real life. Most of these books are nonfiction books or memoirs. I feel like you get a better sense of who the author is when you're reading about what they've gone through, their experiences. You get to know their personality a little bit. It shows out and comes out in their writing. Whereas in fiction, the authors are writing about different characters. So maybe I'll have to do a separate book video about the characters that I think I could be friends with. For right now, these are the authors. These are the authors and writers that I think I would be friends with, or I want to be friends with outside of the books. All right, so Tina Fey's Bossypants is probably one of my favorite books. It's definitely high up on the list because it's so funny and relatable. And actually, this might be a little bit of an instance of me wanting to be friends more with a character than with the actual person, because Liz Lemon and I was like watching 30 Rock, and it was almost like Tina Fey had been spying on me my whole life. I don't do night cheese, but there are just like other things in the storylines that I'm like, that's like little quirks. Like, who else does that but me and Liz Lemon? Anyway, so I love the character, but I also love Tina Fey as well. And I think she would be a really fun person to hang out with. Go on like, I don't know, a girls trip with, or just have like a really fun weekend getaway. I think she'd be really an interesting person to talk to because she's a comedian. It should be funny. So if you like someone who can make you laugh, I think she'd be a good friend for that. If you haven't read Bossypants, it's a really great book, especially if you are a mom or you're about to become mom, because there's a chapter where she writes something out for her daughters, and just reading it, it made me think like, I want to print this out and hang this up in my own daughter's bedroom. Maybe going a bit too far, a little bit much, but it's really good. And yeah, so Tina Fey is my first author, writer, comedian person that I would want to be friends with in real life. I also chose Lindy West, author of Shrill and The Witches Are Coming, which I haven't read yet. I know it's out, and I really want to read it, so maybe I'll put that on my next curbside library pickup request. But anyway, I read Shrill. There's a link to my review on the blog. And reading this book was like having a conversation with my high school best friends. There were so many, it was just hilarious, and it kind of made you feel like you were reading about like your inside jokes with this person. Like, she would make references to things and I'm like, yes, like my friends and I used to talk about that exact same thing all the time. So I feel like there's a lot already that we both have in common in terms of pop culture knowledge, and those references would be a really great starting point for a conversation. I think for Lindy, because she was starting out trying to be a comedian, I think it would be fun for her to go to a comedy club with her. That would be a fun little girls' night out. From reading this book, you'll be able to tell she is very funny, and she has a lot of good insight into that world. So yeah, I think I would want to go to a comedy club with Lindy West, and also just be her friend in real life. Okay, so Kimberly Ray Miller wrote the book Beautiful Bodies, which is a memoir. She also has another book out that I still haven't read yet. It came out before this one. I got this one for free at an Amazon press event, and it was amazing. All about her lifelong struggles with weight and dieting. And there were a lot of things in the book that I thought, me too. Like, I went through that. Especially, it was kind of weird because I was reading about her going through her first pregnancy and the things that she experienced. And at the same time, I'd been going through my first pregnancy and also experiencing some of those things. So it was just kind of crazy to read about someone else who's my age. I think she might be like a few months older than me, but she's basically my age, went through like the same kinds of things that I did, had the same kind of like body issues growing up, and like I just thought, oh my gosh, like, we could be friends in real life and be having these shared experiences together. I do follow her on Instagram. She does post a little bit And she lives in New York. Like, I work in New York. We could totally meet up for coffee or something. I'm just saying. So if Kimberly Ray Miller is reading this book or watching this video, I loved your book, and we should go grab a coffee sometime. All right, so this is someone who I would want to have as my pastor. This is Nadia Bolz-Weber. She wrote Accidental Saints. There's another book that she's got out called Pastorix, which is on my to-read list, and that's all about her journey to becoming a Lutheran pastor. And her past experiences, she's not your normal Lutheran pastor. She hasn't gone on the traditional path or whatever. She doesn't claim to be perfect in any way. She's got tattoos. She curses. I think that her life experiences are really relatable to a lot of other people, especially when you're talking about going through a faith journey. So in terms of like being a mentor, I think she would be a really good person. Especially if she's the pastor of your church, I think she'd be a great person to talk to if you need advice or if you just need to vent and get a different perspective. She seems very knowledgeable and like someone who really wants to help people. And her church is not the typical church either. It's very open to people of all genders, all sexual orientations, all skin colors, etc. She is very open and like living the way that Jesus would have wanted us to live, the way Jesus did live, loving everyone as yourself, loving your neighbor as yourself. There's a chapter in this book which talks about how she was so busy trying to not disappoint people as she just couldn't say no. And then she was juggling all these different plates and eventually everything broke. And I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to, especially moms. She does have kids, and I can't remember where she lives, somewhere in the Midwest, but I would love to check out her church sometime, and she would be a cool person, I think, to get to know outside of the books. I also really love Lisa Jo Baker. I read and reviewed her book, The Middle Matters. There's a review up on the blog. She's written lots of other books as well, and she actually spoke at MomCon last year. I wasn't able to go, but some of the people in my MOPS group actually got to meet her, which was really exciting for them. I was kind of jealous. But especially because in this book, I just love the way that she writes. She's very personable, very relatable, and she's writing about things that other women are also going through. This book in particular is about those like mundane middle years where you're just like, what is happening? Is there ever going to be like an end, or where am I? What am I doing? So I think she's totally relatable. Would love to have her like speak to a mom's group or speak to a book club or something. I think she'd be a cool person to hang out with and have coffee with. And she just seems, like there's this picture of her on the cover, and it was just a picture that somebody took at a birthday party. She didn't even know it was going to be a cover shot for her book, and she's got like chipped nail polish, and she's just wearing like a t-shirt and jeans. So I think she's somebody who you can look to and say like, that looks like me. She's living, she's been there before, and she's living a life that I can relate to. Melanie Dale, author of Women Are Scary, another one of my very favorite books. This is about the awkward adventure of finding mom friends. She's actually written several other books, and you can follow her on Instagram, as I do. And when I read this book, I didn't have a kid yet, and I still keep meaning to reread it, but I thought it was really great and had a lot of interesting insights. The way that she presents the information, it's very funny. She's a hilarious person. And I think that, I think there actually was one specific chapter in here where she made a reference to something. And I was like, who else does that? Who else would make a reference to that? This person needs to be my very, very, very best friend. Yes. She makes a reference to the movie Clue, which is one of my very favorite movies. And it's like a random line that I don't know if many people even like remember it, but it's a Mrs. White line, and I just love it. I love the line so much, and I love that movie so much. And then when she referenced it, I was like, yes, we need to be best friends. So anyway, Melanie, you're writing a book on how to be friends with other women. I'm another woman, and I want to be your friend. So let's not make this awkward. Like, let's just make it happen. And then the last author is Shannon Olson. I don't really know much about her. I've read both of her books. This one's Welcome to My Planet. She also wrote Children of God Go Bowling, which is one of my very top favorite books, because everything in that book, I was like, oh, she's writing about me. I totally got everything that she was saying. I could totally relate to it. I had the same feelings and emotions about it all. So yeah, I really, really love this author, and I would love to get to know her more outside of the books, just because everything that I did read seems so relatable. She doesn't really have a Goodreads author profile, at least not when I was looking at it through the mobile app. So I should do some more digging to see if she's written anything else, because these books came out in like the early 2000s, maybe late 90s. I read them in the early 2000s. This one is actually 2000. So then Children of God Go Bowling, I think, came out after this one. So early 2000s. But it would be interesting to see if she's written anything else, if she's still around. I don't even know. But yeah, I loved this book, and I loved Children of God Go Bowling. I highly recommend Shannon Olson. I would definitely want to have a lunch date with her. So those are the authors that I would want to meet and be friends with in real life. Let me know in the comments which authors you think that you would have the most in common with if you ever met them in real life. Let me know who you want to be besties with in the book world. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like, and hit subscribe so you never miss out on other book content. There's going to be lots more coming later on, and we'll have more to read lists and fun random book list things. We can just talk about books. And follow me on Goodreads because my link is below and on the blog so you can get the book reviews and everywhere. Just follow me everywhere because I'd love to connect with you guys outside of YouTube as well. So thanks for watching and happy reading.